Hey guys, Jonathan Tannenwald from the Philadelphia Inquirer here. You're welcome to take this, I suppose. It's at least two rematches of recent games. It could be all three by the time the playoffs are done. Uh, how much does that affect how you guys start to plan for what's to come next summer?
What, you want me to go first?
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
Oh,
Today's show.
it's late where you are. Go on.
um, no, I mean, I think it's been, I think it's good that some of our friendlies have prepared us for potentially our full World Cup draw. So shows U.S. soccer is definitely tuned in. But I think it'll be good, regardless of who we get for the final spot. I think it'll be good for us to have already played these calibers of teams. And yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it. Like I said, we've played really well against the two teams that we've already drawn and potentially a third. So I'm really looking forward to it.
I mean, I'll piggyback over that. I think everybody will be looking forward to it. With obviously playing the teams that we have a good idea of really what the bare minimum will be to get results. And really, it's going to take even more because like Chris said, they were friendlies while also they weren't very friendly, right? And now you add in the pressure and the heightened kind of aggression and experience of a World Cup, and they're all finals. They all mean something now, and so everything is going to be ramped up exponentially.
All right, we'll do Michael DeCourcy on the Zoom.
Yeah. Oh. Yes, I wanted to ask both of you about the Uruguay game. And I mean, you have had a build towards something like that. I wanted to know, I know, Chris, you weren't there. If you could maybe look at that game and say what the team did in that game that can be carried forward, you can continue to build on. What happened in that game that you can carry forward?
Chris, you were asleep, weren't you?
Nah, I was awake for that one. It kept me up with a lot of goals, so that was the good part. But no, I mean, I think from what I could see from the outside looking in, I think it showed, I think it showed kind of the lack of fear that we have for these so-called powerhouses, and on top of that, also showed the togetherness. I think even with the Freeman bus up, you saw like both benches cleared, and that's kind of something that we stressed highly in Gold Cup. Is that we need kind of this aggression. We need to be a team that sticks together in the ups and the downs, but also if somebody wants to get aggressive with us, then we have to be there matching it and going even higher. So I think on top of all of that, I think there was a bit of higher stakes from how it ended with us in Uruguay and Copa. At least from me, that's how I felt. So I was buzzing seeing the boys go in that game and just completely tear them apart. But I think it was the way that they did it. It's kind of yeah, it's kind of well, not kind of. It has a lot to do with what Poch and the training staff has wanted us to adopt over the last year or so, and it's this togetherness, but also this no fear mentality, regardless of the opponent.
Yeah, I mean, simply, it just shows belief. I think there was a belief in those guys to go out and play, against what is considered a powerhouse in South America and world football, and the guys went out and absolutely smashed it. They had no fear, no reservations, and just a complete belief in themselves and each other, and they took care of each other out on the field, and it showed with the result the way it went. And I think a hallmark of the teams that are continually looking at ways to improve is looking at even games that you win, and you win well. And there were a lot of disappointed faces in conceding one goal, and I think that was a really cool kind of feeling going in and listening to the halftime. How disappointed we were to concede, but the belief is the biggest thing, and that's something that, like Chris said, Poch has really instilled in the team.
Any questions in the room? Right there.
Hi. For both Tim and Chris, as the draw unfolded, did you think in your minds ahead of time as the possible worst path and best path?
I'll go first. I'll let you stew on that. Honestly, I didn't. I've maintained that, and again, this is something else that Maurizio and his staff have discussed and talked about a lot, is that we have to focus on ourselves. We have to worry about how we are and who we are and what we are, and the connections and the aggressiveness and the intensity and the focus. And at some point, you're gonna have to play some of the best teams, and so do you play them in the group stage? Do you play them in the knockouts? It doesn't really matter, right? And so I wasn't thinking best case scenario, worst case scenario. I think there's no point in wondering, especially when you have 48 teams. You can play a potential 36. No, is it 36 others? Is that it? Yeah, 36 other. I don't know. I think there's 12 groups. Am I right?
Yeah.
Sorry. There's so much math going on. Yeah, so that you could potentially play 36 other teams because you can't play your own pot. So there was really no point in sitting there and hoping or praying or wanting to avoid anybody. It was okay. You're going to get who you're going to get, and once you know it's time to get down to business and really prepare and know who you're going to face.
Yeah, I mean, kind of what Tim said. If you wanna be the best, you got to beat the best. So regardless, we would have had to have played some tough countries. I think we got a really good draw, regardless of who we got. But I think that there was really no easy route to get to a final. You always have to play some tough teams. And again, one thing that Poch really instilled in us is that if we play into the best of our abilities, that no team can beat us. And I think we all firmly believe that. And so regardless of who we were going to get, we were excited.
All right. Next question, Doug, online.
Thanks, Cynthia. Thanks for doing this, guys. Really appreciate it. Tyler kind of touched on this before. Heading into Qatar, there was a lot of talk about how little World Cup experience the team had. DeAndre was the only guy that played in one. So for Tim, for you, how much do you think it'll help now that a lot of guys have that experience? And Chris, this will be your first experience. I mean, how excited are you and the guys that haven't been there before to have this opportunity to play in the biggest event ever staged?
Yeah, me personally, I'm very excited. I narrowly missed out on the last one. And I think in the 4 years that's been building up since then, I've tried to put myself in every potential spot so that I can be in contention for this one. And so, again, it's a childhood dream of mine, but also now that it's so close, I want to make sure that I continue to stay on that path so that when it's time for the World Cup, that I'm one of the first guys on the team sheet. And, I'm going to go out there and give 100%. And, regardless of if it's my first or not, I think a lot of these games we've had have gotten me ready for this, not just with country, but with clubs. So, and I'm going to go in there and lean on my partner right there who has got a few years under his belt. And, hopefully he can teach me a few things.
I'll preface this answer by saying that, and I've echoed this a lot, that none of us are there still to this point. None of us are guaranteed a spot at this World Cup. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest message, is that we have to continue to earn that opportunity and earn that, earn that call up. And yeah, it's before, I obviously wasn't in a part of the buildup into 2022 in Qatar, but I think it was almost a good thing, a positive that guys didn't know what to expect. There was not a whole lot of experience, and we all went into that fully not knowing what we could see, what we could face, how the cadence of games would go, and the different time, the times being so late, the games being so late. So none of us knew, and I think that was a like I said, a positive thing. I don't think anybody should or did take that as a negative. And now you can then, with this World Cup, take that experience and say, okay, we kind of know how things work. We know what it takes. We know that it's going to take even more than in Qatar. And we also know the kind of the nature of everything that comes with being a part of this buildup and potentially being a part of a World Cup team. You have, other obligations outside of just the playing, but when it comes down to it, the playing, the focus, the intensity, the trainings, the togetherness, like that is what we have to focus on. And I think that's going to continue to be the message going into this one. But I will say, make sure that you take a breath, you take a step back and really enjoy being a part of it, because it is something special. It is something unique, and it's even more special being able to host it. Because I just jumped on it at the end. Like Christian said, I'll change it from a once in a lifetime to a once in a career opportunity to play a World Cup at home, in front of family, in front of friends, in front of the country that you're representing.
Thanks, guys.
Question right here in the front.
Thank you. Donald Wine, Stars and Stripes FC. It would be great if both of you could answer this question, Tim and Chris. Tim, you just mentioned the fact that no spot is guaranteed on here. So what's the next step? And for both of you, since you have different paths, Tim being season, Chris being in season right now.
I mean, mine is I've already started my off-season program. Took 10 days off after November camp, and I'm right back to it. I saw that Diego said that this is the biggest off season of his career, and I would echo that sentiment. This is I've been playing for 16 years. I'm going into my 17th, and my 17th off season is the biggest of my career, without a doubt. And you have to still be able to push yourself to go out and work out and do the things and make sure that you're flying and ready to go and ready to play 90 minutes as soon as preseason starts. And I think that's the ultimate goal for myself. Even being an old guy who everyone says, oh, you need to take rest. Listen, I played 45 games this year, between club and country. I can rest when I retire, and right now is not the time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still in season, so nothing's really changing for me. It's just making sure that whenever I have my off days, making sure that I'm really taking them off. And whenever I have time for recovery, I'm really doing that. But playing wise, it's just doing the things that got me to the national team at the first place. It's not doing anything special, not trying to dribble the whole team. No, that's not why Poch has me there. It's just making sure that I continue to stay solid, and again, do the things that got me there. And then whenever I am back in camp, just making sure that I continue to not just be a good person on the field, but also be a good person off of it, and be this leader in this kind of group that I think that everybody looks to for guidance and guidance and for help and advice.
Go to Pardeep on the Zoom. Having trouble hearing you, Pardeep.
Sorry, I thought I hit unmute and I guess I didn't. Can you hear me now? Okay, great.
Yes.
I know you don't have the third team in the group yet, but it feels like, if just looking at it, it could be a possibility where you've sort of mapped out the last 6 months of the calendar with this team, with that Turkey game and then the Australia game and the Paraguay game. I know both of you didn't play in all of those games, but if that ends up being the path, what sort of sticks out to you about the progression of the group in the last 6 months? Because it feels like it's been a very important 6 months for all of you.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at the friendly against Turkey before Gold Cup, I think you saw a lot of fresh faces, but also a lot of inexperience, but also a lot of hunger. I think we still went toe to toe with one of the best teams in Europe, and got unlucky with 2 goals, but definitely goals that we could avoid. And I think it gave us a lot of confidence going into the Gold Cup, and then after that, playing teams like Australia, who are one of the top teams in their division. Again, went toe to toe and beat them. And then Paraguay, you saw the same thing. So I think it just shows that, from the summer, from friendlies, that you can still improve. but also, you know, with new faces being added in, with new systems, with new play styles, things like that, it shows that, you know, that we are very versatile, and that we're also a very tough team to play regardless of who steps on the pitch.
Good answer.
All right, we'll go with Paul online.
Thank you guys so much. Guys, I know, no opponent is worth overlooking in a World Cup. So much can happen there, but Maurice has also talked about being realistic and doing the impossible. And when you look at this group and this pathway, it feels like the impossible is maybe a little bit more possible. From a fan's perspective, it feels like it's time to get excited about what this team could potentially do. I wonder if you guys feel that belief, if you guys feel that sense of, look, this thing is setting up for us if we perform well and we do our best to make that type of run that the fans have hoped for so long. Knowing again that you can't overlook anyone, but it does seem to be setting up well for you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it does set up well, but at the same time, we know that just because it sets up well on paper, it doesn't mean that it's going to go well because we think it should. And I know, our listen, we all want to win a World Cup. We all want to. You don't play a tournament just to be there. And so, we've had conversations. Chris and I have had conversations about, yeah, we want to win it. I think people can laugh and say whatever they want, but it's exciting. We're all excited. It's a World Cup. If you can't get excited for a World Cup, no matter who you're playing, then there's problems. So it does set up nicely, but again, we have to focus on ourselves. We know that the like I said before, the minimum of what it will take to beat these teams, and you can't play a tournament by doing the minimum. You can't. You have to go more. You have to go above and beyond what we've done up to this point. And I think that's the kind of almost pitfall that you can run into. Okay, yes, we played all three of these teams in the last 6 months, but that can be a little bit of a false kind of sense of security. And so we need to make sure that we're preventing that kind of security and safety feeling from setting in. And we have enough guys with enough experience that know how to keep pushing each other and keep pushing the team in the right direction, knowing what we could possibly do. But it's down to us and our work and our intensity and our focus.
So we time for one more question. So Jeff online.
Thanks, guys. Mauricio talked about how it's so important for the team to improve over the next 6 months and really make the most of that time. What parts of the team's game do you sense need to improve the most? Is it in attack? Is it in defense? Are there some wrinkles in each that you want to see get better?
Yeah, I mean, I think no team is perfect, of course. So I think in every aspect of the game, we could probably be better. But again, it is a process. The last few camps we played a different formation than we have for the last cycle. So we're still learning, and there's a reason why they're top coaches is because they have a lot to teach. So if you can take 1% from every training, every game, then you'll get there. But also, these games are going to help us improve. Especially the March games are going to help us improve. But it's kind of the standards that we set for each other in training. That's really where you really make the improvements. And again, I think that's something that's really changed over probably the last 6 months, if I'm being honest with you. I think that, of course, there's belief on the field on game day, but I think it starts in training, and it starts with sometimes you have to get into your teammate, but it's because you want the best for not just him but for the guys around you. And I think when you're playing for I guess a greater calling, when you're playing for more than just the name on the back, when you're playing for your whole country, I think it's easy to take down the chin and to try to improve from it. So I think in every aspect of the game we can improve, but I wouldn't say I'm worried at all. I think that we definitely have enough time and we have enough quality to definitely do it.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say very, very similar. I don't think you look at one aspect and say, oh, we need to improve this area. I think it's just a general, right. We need to continue to raise the standards. We need to continue to push each other. We need to continue to make sure training is at the highest level that we can possibly make it, because when you do that, you go into games feeling confident. You feel like you've done all the prep work. You've put in the hard yards in order to get the best possible outcome. And I think it's in those areas that when he says, "Oh, the team can improve," it's the focus, it's the intensity, it's the aggressiveness, it's all of these things that we can continue to raise raise the level of, and that's where the improvement is going to come, because as he says all the time, we're all good players. We all know, we all have our strengths. We all have our weaknesses, and their job is to get the best out of all of us, and our jobs are to get the best out of each other as well. So I think if we continue to do that, then we'll continue to be on the right path, and going into the World Cup on a good run, and feeling good, having a lot of excitement, and feeling positive about where we are as a team.